So Lauren and I are still out on the fringe. We're on the bridge. We really haven't gone very far at all because we've met so many incredibly interesting people, including Stan Rayfield, who's an environmental consultant. Now, you've just interviewed us, and I wanted to turn the tables round and interview him because as a small charity, we need people to help us tell our story. And I'm really grateful that you're going to take that interview. Where's it destined for?
For PlanetPod. PlanetPod releases 3 or 4 podcasts a month, and they've had up to about 80,000 downloads so far.
That's
People
awesome.
who care about the planet.
Excellent.
So, and I'm helping them out this few days at COP26. But my own work's usually as a consultant working with larger companies.
Yes.
And I was really interested in your story with forestry, because most large companies are looking at connecting and offsetting in some way. But we tend to follow the Oxford principle, so offsetting is further down the line. The first stage is reduction, because in the past so many companies have seen that as a sort of quick greenwash solution, but it's bigger, isn't it?
It's much bigger, as we just said in the piece. You know, it's one of those critical parts of the equation. If you're creating a widget or doing a service that squeezes this amount of juice from the planet, you've got to put that juice back, and you've also got to put a bit of extra juice back. So you can call it what you like. It is taking account of what you've squeezed from the world, really.
And I think the bigger picture is reintroducing biodiversity, connecting kids who I'm told that a huge number of nature-based words have disappeared out of kids' dialect because we don't connect with nature. Lots of children don't know where the food had come from.
Absolutely.
So it's not just a corporate planting a load of trees as an offset to allow them to continue polluting. It's got a much wider story.
It has got a much wider story, and you're good to bring the children in. I must admit, talking about the kids over in Kenya is something I don't go into great detail about very often because it's so harrowing. But the backstop for youngsters in the tropics, when there's just no money, the thing's in drought, there's no food to put on the table, there are 2 common backstops, one of which is cutting down a bit of tree to make some illegal charcoal. Everyone needs a bit of charcoal, and they'll sometimes resort to that, but they don't want to do that. It's counterintuitive. Who wants to be chopping them down? But they'll do a little bit to get some money. And child prostitution, boys and girls, particularly on the coast. It had been rife, and the work that we were doing pre-COVID were bringing those numbers down, because people had kind of seen that by having trees, by having food, by having nuts and stuff they could take and sell, and also by having the adults learning how to read and write and how to count out a money exchange by learning maths, then they can actually turn that commodity into food that relieves their whole situation. That big picture is a big story to tell, and it needs education to the corporates to actually explain it.
Yeah, exactly. And the indigenous populations in different, they have different solutions in different countries, don't they? And I think it would be really conceited to think that we could just zoom in, plant a load of trees and disappear without working with those local groups who know how to steward the land.
Too right, they do.
I spoke to a lady yesterday on the other side of town, and it was about how they can look after the elders in those communities, because the elders keep the knowledge of how to look after.
You are talking our language. I mean, seriously, you are so talking our language. I think for me, the most wonderful thing is drawing inspiration from other people like you who are playing the part in this whole big jigsaw of connecting the dots between the corporates and organisations like ours who are doing lots of little bits and pieces. And I'd love to be able to take that further. That would be amazing if you have an event or who knows where these conversations could go.
Exactly, a pass introduction in the street, and we're off, aren't we? So
we are off. Thank you for all you're doing. No, it's great to meet you too. Good luck with the rest of your environmental consulting while you're here, and I hope you meet some really inspirational people.
Thank you, and the same.
To just keep us all going. We have to keep going. We have to find ways to keep ourselves putting one foot in front of the other, and talking to people like you put springs in my step. Thank you.